The phone vibrated between us. Once, then stopped. She didn't reach for it. That was the moment. We were sitting on opposite ends of the couch, the TV murmuring something forgettable into the room. Her legs were tucked beneath her, comfortable. Too comfortable. The screen lit up again. Another message, its glow briefly reflected in her eyes before she looked away. Not annoyed, not curious, afraid. I watched her swallow, watched the tiny muscle in her jaw tighten. She smiled at the television like nothing had happened, like the room hadn't just shifted on its axis. I said nothing. Silence has weight when you let it sit. She eventually picked up the phone, turned slightly away from me, and typed with her thumbs held low, hidden, a habit she'd never had before. When she finished, she locked the screen immediately, no hesitation, no casual scrolling. That was new. I felt something detach inside my chest. Not pain, recognition, the kind that arrives quietly, already certain of its place. I leaned back, folded my arms, and watched my wife pretend we were still married. It didn't start with proof. It never does. It started with absences, with laughter that didn't belong to me anymore, with her best friend, Sarah, suddenly becoming a constant presence in our lives, always calling, always dropping by, always needing something. And her husband, Daniel, he was there too often, staying for dinner, fixing things around the house, lingering in doorways, looking at my wife a fraction longer than necessary, then quickly looking away when he noticed me watching. I told myself it was paranoia. That's what loyal men do. We doubt ourselves before we doubt the people we love. But patterns don't lie. They repeat. Late errands that overlapped. Texts deleted but not replaced. Sarah talking too loudly about how secure her marriage was, how much she trusted Daniel. Trust is usually a performance. The night I realized it wasn't just an affair, but a conspiracy came quietly. My wife fell asleep with her phone unlocked on her chest. I didn't rush. I didn't shake her awake. I memorized the passcode from her reflection in the mirror weeks ago. There were no explicit messages. That was the clever part. Code, references, shared jokes that only make sense when you already know the ending. A photo sent accidentally, then deleted. A location pin that lingered too long. A voice note addressed to you spoken too softly to be harmless. I put the phone back exactly where it was. Then I planned. I became invisible. I smiled. I kissed her forehead. I asked about her day and listened like a man who still believed. Inside, I was cataloging timestamps, phone records, credit card charges, a hotel receipt buried inside a joint expense report, paid in cash but careless enough to leave a digital shadow. I followed patterns, not people. Patterns always lead somewhere. I placed a tracker in my own car and let her borrow it. I scheduled a fake business trip and watched her routes change. I requested phone logs under the pretense of switching carriers. Everything aligned. Still, I waited. Truth is most powerful when it thinks it's safe. The confirmation came in the form of a calendar invite. Daniel wasn't careful. He synced his personal account to the shared family laptop by mistake. A private event titled something meaningless. Same hotel, same time my wife said she'd be helping Sarah. I printed the page, folded it once, and placed it in my coat pocket. That evening, I handed it to my wife without a word. She unfolded it, read it, her face collapsed in slow motion, color draining, hands shaking, mouth opening then closing, like the air had been taken from her lungs. "I can explain," she whispered. I nodded. "I know," I said. That terrified her more than shouting ever could. I didn't confront them separately. I invited them to dinner, all four of us. Sarah talked too much. Daniel barely spoke. My wife couldn't meet my eyes. I waited until dessert, until the tension became unbearable, until truth pressed against their ribs from the inside. Then I slid 4 envelopes across the table. Phone logs, location data, hotel footage timestamps, and one final document, a legal filing. Sarah made a sound like something breaking. Daniel stood up too fast, chair scraping loudly against the floor. My wife just stared at me, tears spilling silently, realization dawning far too late. "You knew," she said. I nodded again. For a long time. The trap wasn't exposure, it was timing. I didn't yell, I didn't threaten, I let consequences speak. Divorce papers filed first, assets frozen, evidence forwarded, quietly, to the one person none of them expected, Daniel's employer. Conflict of interest clauses are unforgiving when violated with a colleague's spouse. Sarah lost more than a marriage that night. She lost her illusion of control. My wife lost the version of me she thought would beg. I stood, adjusted my coat, and looked at them one last time. "This is where I step out," I said calmly. "You'll hear from my lawyer." Then I walked away. I sleep well now, not because it stopped hurting, but because the noise is gone. Betrayal doesn't break you, it clarifies you. It strips away who you thought you were and leaves only what's true. I didn't win, I simply stopped losing, and that was enough.